Oh, all right, we'll talk about that. All right, so let's do it. Welcome to another edition of Social Proof Podcast. My name is David Shands, and what?
That's not how we do this. Welcome to another episode of the Social Proof Podcast with your very favorite business coaches. My name is Donni Wiggins. I am here with David Shands, and on this podcast, we talk about entrepreneurship plus.
You did all that for that? What was that? What
if this is somebody's very first time watching us?
Yes. I mean, we need to be a little more professional, a little more energy.
Yeah.
This is the #1 entrepreneurship podcast in the world.
Period.
You get an opportunity to talk to entrepreneurs who are entrepreneuring on a regular basis, not just talking about it, but things that we do. That's why we were having such a hard time actually trying to come up with what we're going to talk about today. But then we realized we do this every day anyway.
Yeah.
So
when you do it every day, it comes natural.
Yes. So I called Donni. So I had some friends call me, and I called Donni after that. And I was like, "Ooh, I got something for us."
Oh my gosh.
So Donni has an extensive career and a strong success track in the network marketing and affiliate marketing space. That's actually how I met Donni. And I remember, I actually found some notes from a training you did.
Really?
When we were in PK. Yep.
Oh, you got to send me a picture of that training.
Yeah, yep. It said your name on there. I spelled it right and everything. And I took the notes. So anyway, I'm not a real big, you know what I mean? Especially since we both, kind of went into kind of personal branding, coaching, things of that nature. I absolutely love the industry of network marketing, but it's like changed faces a lot, meaning it's not like it was, it's not as stuffy. It's typically more passive, not necessarily based on recruiting and things of that nature. So my friends call me, and these are people, some people I really, really respect in the space that's made a lot of money. And they're like, "Yo, I got something for you." And I'm like, "All right, share it. All right, just tell me the game." Mm-hmm. So they start explaining it, and I'm like, "All right." They're like, "Yo, you can start at $100 and you get on this little board, and then the people over you, they like it spills over into your thing, and then on the third level, you make money on the third level, even if you don't recruit nobody." I'm like, "Let's do it. I'll put $1,000 in it." Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So
you have to build to the third level.
No. So let's say, for instance, because I'm going to sign you up, because I signed up and I got excited. And I don't normally be this excited, but it just seems cool. It reminds me of, remember Wake Up Now? Was Wake Up Now a scam? Was Wake Up Now a scam?
I know that they had people who made a lot of money, but I don't know what their actual product was. I don't remember, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it was a lot of people make a lot of money.
They were killing it.
For sure. But now y'all, I'm not saying this to recruit you, okay? But send me a DM.
No, if you're on my live, if you're on Donnie's live, send me a DM, okay? Just for clarity.
First off, you know what's funny? Donni didn't even sign up yet.
DM so Donni money. DM me the word money.
Nah, but so here's the thing. So I hit Donni, and I can't even explain it. I'm like, we'll lose, $500 in a weekend on food, right? So I'll be throwing stuff at stuff. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it works or whatever. But over the last couple hours, I've been kind of excited, and I text Donni like, "Oh man, I think I drank the Kool-Aid." And I promise you, I am not about to reach out to nobody. I'm not recruiting nobody. It's like my friends and family. So I'll be like, "Hey Donni, put $500 in this joint. It could grow. It makes some money." But
how quickly should we expect it to grow?
I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, which is dumb. Hey, listen, y'all. If you want to be an astute investor, only invest in things that you understand.
Period.
Okay? And if you can't control it, remember that you can't control it. For me, this is kind of like, some people go to Vegas and put some money on blackjack or whatever.
We'll gamble it away.
You do it for fun, right? I'm imagining this is because I don't gamble. This is your gamble. Yeah, this is my trip to Vegas.
Somebody said, "What about the you should be here people?" No, that was World Ventures. World Ventures is still alive today, and that was not a scam.
Yeah.
There's no scam in travel.
There's no scam in travel, but there's no. There's probably scams.
Wait. There ended up being no, not for people who are actually traveling, but no, Wake Up Now is definitely, World Ventures is definitely not a scam. So anyway, David called me last night and he's like, yo, I got something for us. I said, what is it? He's like, I don't really know. You just got to invest and we can make some money. I said, all right, send me the link and I got you. And then he told me this morning that he did it. So immediately after we finish this, I'll be putting, how much did you put in?
You can put in you can put it in $25, $100, $500, or $1,000.
How much did you put in?
I did put in the 1,000. And I put in the 1,000 and I put in the 500 because you got to do like all of them. So I put in the 25 and then 500, then 500, then 1,000, and then.
So you put in $1,575.
About six, I think it was 16 something. Yeah. I mean,
so you have to go through each level.
Yeah.
And then you opened a second account. Because this is what you.
Hey, listen, what we're sharing with you all is not advice. Do not put in any money into stuff you don't understand because we're going to teach you entrepreneurship. This is me. But hey,
when it comes to David or I with our crazy investment ideas, keep in mind that we take risks that most people probably shouldn't 100%. Take.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that one risk that's about to turn into
a payday.
But once we can like really share it, so we should be closing.
It's bittersweet for me.
It's bittersweet. Yeah, it's bittersweet.
It's bittersweet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Mm-hmm. But let's not talk about it yet.
We can't talk about it because you were about to say too much already.
I know. Listen, man. Entrepreneurship is so. First off, I think the first thing we need to understand is we need to get a real business. We have to have a business that operates before you start chasing different stuff. You have to have a business, a solid business that works. Now, so when this opportunity came last night. Am I like putting all of my time, energy, attention, money into it? No. If it doesn't work, will I be upset? No, because it's like it's not a lot of money to have me upset, right? Plus I have an actual business. I think the problem is when people jump into these things, they're taking focus away from their main business or their main idea, and they're chasing something that could or could not work. You feel me? So even the traders don't main joint. I made a couple dollars on that joint. A lot of people lost a lot of money. Now that was scammy.
I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That was a scam.
Literally overnight. Literally overnight. Yeah. Because David called and said, I need you to invest in something. It was a call that went very similar to the call that you called me with last night. But the stakes were much higher.
Much higher.
The stakes were. And then if I think about it, there was a second opportunity that you said, hey, I need you to invest in this one too. And I lost about $20,000 there. And then there was a third one.
If you lost money, I lost money.
And I lost about
it wasn't no $30,000.
It was two opportunities with the same person.
No,
I lost $20,000 with the one. And then there was the smaller opportunity that was $5,000. We lost the same night. Both times with both of those opportunities. We lost the same exact day with both of those different. One day we woke up, we were able to deposit money. The next day we woke up, we logged in and it was cool. But then that night we tried to log in just to check the status and the whole company disappeared. Both of them. We were incapable of accessing the profile.
So yes, 100%. Somebody in the chat said any wins. So here's the thing. I was talking to AD Dolphin about this, and he deals with the same thing we deal with. And he gave me this basketball reference. He said, if somebody gives me a pump fake, like, you know, you like act like you're gonna shoot. If somebody gives me a pump fake, he said, I jump every time. He said, sometimes the pump fake, like you jump and they didn't shoot, and it's like, oh, you got me. But sometimes they actually shoot and you block the shot and you get these wins. So even in the other investment, because I think I invested maybe a year before Donni, I profited 6 figures. which is like, oh, wow. Well, if I didn't go for that, would I have made the money? Now, again, who knew it's a scam or all that kind of stuff?
I knew.
How?
I could tell I've been doing this long enough.
Was so far up. How did you know?
Because they didn't get it. They knew it was a scam too.
Nobody told me. I'm like, oh, y'all making money? Cool.
I knew that at some point, it was one of those things where at some point, somebody's going to get the short end of the stick. I hope that I am investing before the short end of the stick is ready to reveal itself. And unfortunately, I did invest, and I was making a ton of money. Yeah. But then I said, and you told me, withdraw your money. And I kept saying, no, I'm going to just let it keep building. I'm going to let it build. Because I wanted it to turn into like $1 million very quickly. Yeah. So I wanted it to build. And unfortunately, by the time I put in a withdrawal request, that company also was unable to be accessed any further.
Yeah, there was like lawsuits and all kind of stuff going on over there.
I think there are still lawsuits happening. I mean, that was a large amount of money. Yeah, so sure. We say this to you guys. It's funny. We say this for a couple of reasons. Number one, we have a high risk threshold, right? Now, we won't just risk something that just appears to be silly in the beginning. We won't risk anything that is illegal or, something like that. But if it sounds like a win, we will take the chance, and we'll take chances that y'all don't do. That's what rich people do. They take all kinds of, forget it. Let's do it, right?
First off, I just got a text
from somebody watching.
I got a text from one of my guys, somebody that's like even more successful than me. He was like, send me the link.
Send me the link is wild. So we say that to you to say, we take risks that we would never advise you to take. But the second thing that I want you to pick up from this is the fact that we've won really, really big, but we've lost also just as big, and we're still taking the risk. Because eventually it's got to pay off. Like, we're not afraid to get back on the bike and start riding again just because we fell down and scraped our knee. 100%. So do with that information what you will in applying it to your own life, but make smart decisions.
For sure. And guys, listen, and this is not something that like I'm gonna share with like Morning Meetup, or I'm about to make a post about it or make a video or not. It's nothing like that, because some people can't risk the loss. Yeah. You feel me? Like, I'll call Donni, or I'll call like one of my friends that's like, they do this. You feel me? And you got a couple dollars to go to Vegas with, and let's just see what happens. Because sometimes you go for it, take a loss, and then one of them hit, and it's like,
yeah. And to that point, you never ever invest what you can't afford to lose. And that's even if you're making wise investments in the stock market or in crypto or whatever those things are, real estate. If you cannot afford to lose it, obviously you don't want to lose it, but if it's going to put you out of business or put it out of your livelihood, you never ever invest that money. 100%. Except us, we will.
Yeah. This is the kind of stuff that most people aren't going to talk about.
If we're this far down, let's just go ahead and do it. That's actually how I came up. How many times when I didn't have any money during that cycle, that period of time where I lost everything, back then you could get a Spirit Airlines flight to Vegas for like $39 one way, right? Mm-hmm. Do you remember those Spirit Airlines flights? 100%. They'd be like $39. So you could go to Spirit. I mean, you could get a flight, Spirit Airlines. Me and my homegirl Nikki would do this so much. Shout out to Rose's Baby on Instagram. We would buy one way. Mm-hmm. A $39 flight to Vegas, because I can play blackjack. Right. All right. If I can just get to Vegas with this $39, we're not checking any bags. Like, at that time, as long as you had like a book bag that could fit in that small little measuring thing, you're good to go. So we're rolling up the smallest dresses that we could roll up in this bag. And, you don't take anything. Whatever we need, we're going to win the money to get there. Mm-hmm. Right. I cannot tell you how many times I did that and went to Vegas throughout those couple of years just to like win rent money.
Right.
And won it. Put me in front of a blackjack table. I'm coming up every single time.
Yo, this actually is a great segue into what we're going to have a conversation about. So I just made this post. It said, early Uber investors and their insane returns. I got it from, what channel is this? Some page. Let me just shout out the page so I don't think I came up with this myself because I didn't. And I guess I should have tagged them. My bad. But hold on, I do want to share the page in a second. Okay, it is Entrepreneurs on IG. That's the name of the page. So it talks about the angel investors from Uber's seed round in 2010. So Garrett Camp invested $220,000 in Uber.
Okay.
Estimated value at IPO in 2019, $3.5 billion. So he's actually a co-founder of Uber and used money from selling Stumble Upon to invest. I don't know what that is. But a founder of Collective, Founder Collective, they invested $95,000, estimated value at IPO, $372 million. He's an early backer, right? Mitchell D. Kapoor invested $75,000 in Uber. You got $75,000, right?
I got 75.
Maybe we need to invest $75,000 in her ride. $75,000 invested in Uber, estimated value at IPO in 2019, $372 million from
That's
75,000 believing in something. Here's what's even cooler. Cian and Scott Bannister
That's cyan.
invested. Cyan. How you know?
Because that's a color.
She might spell or
It's
say
cyan.
it different. She might
Cyan and
pronounce it
Scott
different.
Bannister. I just didn't want you to go out like that. You okay?
I hate that you're right. You feel me? Because I should have known. But that is definitely Cyan and Scott.
Just in case anybody's reading along right now.
Yeah, I got you. They invested $50,000. Estimated value in 2019 at IPO is $248. IPO is the initial public offering. Like, I invested in the company and we are going to go public where you can buy shares, right? But they learned about Uber in a cab. They're in a cab. I'm guessing somebody's talking about it. They're already serial angel investors. They put in $50,000 and got out $248 million. Joshua Spear,
I see this.
$30,000 in Uber. An estimated value at IPO, $149 million. Golly, 30,000 turns into 149 million. It gets better. The Hit For's Naval Ravikant
Probably.
invested 30,000. Value $124 million. It gets smaller. Sean Fanning, 25,000, who's the founder of Napster, invested $25,000, 124 million valuation in 2019. Jason Calacanis invested $25,000.
Okay.
Investment worth $124 million. This is my favorite one though. Mike Walsh invested $5,000 in Uber. Put it in the chat if you got $5,000. Just put 5K in the chat. Mike Walsh invested $5,000. Estimated value at IPO, $24.8 million.
Him and Orrin Michaels.
Oh, my
$5,000,
gosh.
same amount of money. And at the time that this was happening, if they were sitting at a round table, he was probably looked at like the little dog.
Little dog.
Little dog. You don't bring enough to the table, but we'll take your money, right? That was probably the bare minimum entry point for investment.
But I think the difference between the founders of Uber and maybe our average entrepreneurs right now is these people, like when you start doing a company big like this, they think big. They think huge. Like when we talk to entrepreneurs, they're like, yo, invest in this t-shirt brand or invest in my cereal company or something like that, right? But this is big tech stuff where I'm solving a problem that is going to change the world. So I believe a lot of these people invested not just in the idea, but the actual bigness of the thinking of the person who's bringing it to you. Like, I see how this is going to revolutionize. So you might put the 5,000 in, and I don't know if they made those types of promises, but it's the bigness of the idea. So when we did our pitch, our investor pitch, it wasn't just about we could put some money in and you'll make a little bit of a return, right? Even as we put it together, it's like, yo, we could be the LA Fitness of whatever we were talking about. I don't want to put it out there, but we could be the LA Fitness of this thing, which is much needed, which got people excited. Now, unfortunately, we didn't. The circumstances, the environment we're going to do it in, it wasn't going to work. But we have the idea, and that was a fun process we went through.
It was an incredibly fun process. Here's the thing, though. Even though we are at a point in which we have to pivot on the idea, we learned so much because we still have to move forward with something, right? We learned so much in the process. We know now, like, we basically got paid to learn this process when we think about it.
For sure.
Like, at the end of the day, we will have gotten paid to learn what we need to apply to the next thing. We were able to put a pitch out there, and we were even still thinking too small, even in terms of our own pitch ideas. Even though we were pitching something bigger than we had ever pitched before, we were still thinking too small, number one. Number two, we've now learned we got feedback. So we know what language will inspire people to invest with us, right? But number three, we know how to approach it so that we have a stronger business model overall. And a lot of times people get stuck in just the t-shirt idea because they go out and they try to bat at a much larger idea. They try to bat at the t-shirt store instead of the t-shirt company. And just because that one idea doesn't work, they think they're not qualified. They think they're not good enough. They're afraid to try again, when the truth is the best time to try after you've experienced a major loss is immediately after that major loss.
100%. 100%. I'm about to send you something, Donni, because I think this is going to be strong. I think we should talk about what makes an investable business.
That's what I'm over here doing too.
Really?
Yes.
Well, so I talked to Morgan, who is the founder, CEO of Blavity. Afrotech. She actually owns Travel Noir. She is a monster, you hear me? So she was talking about what makes an investable business. So a couple points, and I'll start with one, and you can go. You want to go next, or you want to start first?
No, you go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
One, what makes an investable business is a strong and scalable business model, a clear, repeatable process for generating revenue, a clear, repeatable process for generating revenue. And I think as we approach entrepreneurship, one, it's not clear because we're just trying to generate revenue whichever we can, and it's not in a systemic process of generating. It's not clear, but also it's not repeatable, because if we're going out hustling today and we're just we're jumping from opportunity to opportunity, you're not an investable business, right? Two, which is really, really cool. I learned this too. So I was talking about the morning meetup a couple years ago, and what's that company Alex Hormozy has where he invests in businesses?
Acquisition.com.
Yeah, so acquisition. So what they do is you can submit and they'll set up a call with one of their people. So the person I was working with at the time, she submitted the business for morning meetup. And I think it's an incredible business model at the time. And the guy was like, nah, this isn't something we'd invest in because it's not really investable. He said, you need to have a clear process, because my process of bringing people into the community was me using my influence or putting the advertisement out on the podcast, or me going live on Instagram or TikTok or talking about it, or I see somebody and I do coaching and I'm saying, hey, you should join the program. But it wasn't a clear, repeatable process. And I learned so much about that. And he said, yo, we can't have it super based on you. He said, nothing wrong with your activity right now, but there still has to be a system that would make people want to be here, whether you show up or not.
Well, yeah. And so the whole thing is, that's the difference between building a transactional business model and a transformational business model. And most or many Black entrepreneurs are taught how to build transactional business models.
Yep.
So we're taught how to build business models that monetize quickly, right? Whereas companies that are transformational, like Uber, like Airbnb, they're projecting their first 1, 5, maybe even 10 years to take losses every single year, right? They're not necessarily looking for the big payoff. They're not looking for owner salaries and payouts and things like that up front. Whereas in our community and the way we teach business, or the way we learn business, most importantly, is for us to monetize our business as quickly as possible. What can we get accomplished in a 12-month period of time? In the next 10 days, make your first $10,000. And that doesn't create space for us to think about innovation. Airbnb didn't invent the travel industry. They understood what a problem was. They found a problem in the industry and decided to show up as a disruptor, right? There are people, large families, who want to stay together. What are families doing with children without buying or renting the penthouse suite at the top of the hotel? You've got a family, you've got parents who are disabled or whatever. Airbnb identified a gap and they came and disrupted it. Uber didn't invent car rental services, right? What they did was found an issue with the industry. You have to be 21 years old and have a major credit card, and you can only travel to this place or that place, or you have to keep the car for the whole day. Well, what if somebody just needs, to get to one place or something like that? They found errors in its ways. I don't need to rent a car for a whole day. I just need to get from this point to that point. Show me how to do that with $10. Uber came in and decided to be disruptors. And so for us, we have to think about what's happening in our common industry right now, what's happening in the apparel space right now, where we can show up as disruptors, what's happening in the podcast industry right now, where we can show up as disruptors, what's happening in the coaching and consulting space right now, where we can show up as disruptors. The problem with how we build business is we're showing up like everybody else. We're taking the framework of everybody else and we're growing it. We're growing that way, which is fine. You're making money. You're changing the generational outlook of your family. But in order to do it big, we have to innovate something. 100%. And that means really take a look at your industry. What are the problems that people are consistently communicating about, right? What's something that needs to be more affordable? What's something that needs to be more convenient? What's something that needs better access? What's something existing already that you can just tweak just a little bit? You can put systems, procedures, processes, and workflows in place for it. You don't have to show up for it every single day. It will be difficult to scale a business that doesn't include these things. And then 2, it will be much simpler to attract capital if you're an innovator or disruptor in your space.
Yeah, I feel that. And I think, as you're talking about scale, the important thing to, and I don't think people understand what scale actually means. I think they say, I want to scale it. That just means they want to make some more money. But I think the essence of being able to scale something means you can make more money without much more work.
Yes.
You can make more money without much more work, without much more effort.
Yeah, you're multiplying the amount of money that you're making without multiplying the hours that you have to put in to make it.
100%. So scaling a business doesn't mean you go out and sell more. It means there's a process or a system that you can implement that brings more people in, whether you have 10 or 10,000. So we got to think of our business in that way. Like, how can I scale it? Right now, we can't really scale this podcast, right? Because every time we do an episode, we have to show up.
Yep.
But even if there's a business that's feeding off of this podcast, that's not necessarily scalable because we have to come on here, show up, sell the thing, right? So that's not necessarily a scalable model. It's not a bad thing. I'm just saying if we're going to build something huge, we have to have a specific process in place. So for instance, there are people that do webinars, and I can do the webinar one time. And after the webinar is produced, what you can do is run ads to that webinar that you previously did. And in that webinar, just don't say anything about time or dates or things that's happening right now. You can't say, I just watched the Super Bowl or whatever, right? Because you don't want to date it. So a process might be, I'm running ads to this free webinar. In the webinar, we're closing and it's growing a particular business. So that is a model that it doesn't require me to do more work. It just requires me to put more money into ads. So I'm just now seeing what that type of thing looks like in terms of scalability. You know what I mean? So it's deep if you are going to really build a business that you can get away from at some point.
Yeah, for sure. And then also, one thing that we're not paying attention to is the art of storytelling, right? So hold on, I'm looking up, I'm looking for the origin to Uber's story.
Yeah.
We have to get into the habit of prioritizing storytelling. Storytelling isn't just something that's interesting to people to give them a reference or some point of frame as to who you are and why you do what you do. Storytelling is a strategy. Mm-hmm. Storytelling literally is a strategy. You and I have both likely made millions of dollars leveraging our story, telling people our story. Your story is... It spells out your origin. It connects your heart posture to whatever it is that you're doing. It helps people highlight the purpose that's in your business. It helps people understand why you belong in the marketplace. And if you understand your story and as you're growing, it also tells people like what your exit plan is, right? Mm-hmm. So investors are able to see how you phase out and they phase in. Yeah. There are some companies right now that like Alex Hormozy with acquisition.com. He's not going into these companies for the long term, right? He's looking to go in, acquire these companies, get them up, scale them even more, right? And then go to the next step with them. He wants to sell these companies. It is, he's acquiring to eventually be acquired. We're so stuck in our process, but we don't have a story. We don't understand why we started, how we started. Some people don't even know their beginning step. Mm-hmm. And we have to get really, really, really great of telling the story behind our business because it's important. You don't just have a t-shirt company. You have a company that you started with, for a particular reason. Milano Di Rouge right now has generated way more than probably $200 million in revenue in her company, right? And it's an outstanding brand. It's a luxurious Black-owned brand, Black-owned and operated. But when you see her on Instagram, she's consistently telling the story of how she started with 2 t-shirts. Out of the back of her, I think it was an Altima at that time. She drove an Altima. And the story is so impactful and so important that she replayed that story. Like she recreated it, right? She showed her getting out of this Altima at, whatever year, make and model of that vehicle was at that time, getting out, going into her trunk, picking up these 2 t-shirts and saying, I got this or I got this. It started with 2 t-shirts, 2 sweatshirts, 2 ideas. And why? Why did it start? I have to get out of this situation. I know that I'm in a situation right now that I have to get out of. I don't have a whole lot of money. My passion is fashion. I'm going to start here. And then I'm taking this and this is how I'm giving back. And this is what I've done with the brand. And that's why I'm able to multiply hand over fist over and over and over and over and over again. And your story is what makes it compelling to your investors. Oftentimes, they don't really like, if you look at Shark Tank, they enjoy hearing business concepts when you're pitching to them, but they get pulled into the story. They get pulled into the why you're doing this. They get pulled into the part where it changed your life. They get pulled into the part where you overcame the deepest struggles that you've ever experienced before and why this is a winning vehicle for you. That's why they invest, not just because you got the new brush that can dry your hair, curl it, and wrap it all at the same time. How did this come about? How is it impacting people? What are the stories you're hearing from it? That's what makes investors show up for you.
Bruh, yeah, I think it's really important. Oh, this is so good, man. And I'm starting to learn that if you don't leverage AI, you're going to be lost. And I think AI is helping people add a scalable model to their businesses. Yeah, my guy Billy sent me I'm gonna let you listen to something. I'm gonna let you listen to this. Check this out. This is probably the coolest thing I've seen all month. So check this out. Listen to it.
We're diving into the Social Proof hot seat interview you sent, the one with Shaniqua. I have to say, this whole thing was, intense. Yeah, I know what you mean. She's talking about quitting entrepreneurship, but it doesn't seem so simple.
Right. It's
It's more than that. So she ran a bunch of different businesses over 12 years?
Bro.
12 years, yeah. Consult.
That's AI.
That's AI, bro. That's AI. So I'm like, oh, how do you start scaling content? Oh, if I do an episode and I could put it into it, you can create a whole nother podcast around a podcast that you created.
Without showing your face.
That's insane.
Absolutely.
I can listen, outside of this, you can kind of have some sort of conversation about yourself, about some intriguing stuff, and use AI to create a podcast for you after you sit in your bedroom in your socks or your drawers and say, this is what I want to talk about. You talk about that joint for 30, 35 minutes and brand something AI. That doesn't sound like AI. It sounds like two people are having a conversation, right? And AI is going to get better and better and better and better. Because when I listened to it, when my guy showed it, I was like, what podcast is that? Who is that? And they don't sound black. I got excited. I said, "Oh man, we got other cultures listening to the podcast and doing reviews on the podcast." He was like, "Nah, it's AI."
So it sounded like AI to me.
It didn't to me though.
Yeah, but for many people, it won't. But it's also maybe because I'm studying AI at such a high level. I'm used to I know the pauses and the cadence and things like this. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And somebody will instead, if you guys are not learning AI and spending, I would say at least 1 hour a week, learning something new about AI and how to put it into your business, you won't be scalable, let alone investable. All right. You won't be scalable, let alone investable. And here's the thing. AI has been in existence for many, many years. You're just figuring, it's just becoming relevant for us to have access to it, to use it in our business, but it's already been accessible. Things that are happening in your email, the way you're able to sort email, the way your email is able to sort out spam and junk and things, that's been happening for years. Yeah. More than 10 years, right? That is AI. Things that are tools and software and systems that are able to predict trends for you. That is AI. Revenue trends, that is AI. When your Stripe account says, be careful with this particular purchaser, they've been known to charge back before. They don't have the best reputation. If you look at your reports, that's there and it's been there for years. That is AI. When a photographer edits your photographs, they're no longer going in with the Photoshop paintbrush and painting over every single blemish that you have. They are hitting that button that says enhance, and that is AI. When you go into your own phone and you pick up your own picture, go into your picture album and you look at a photo and you want to enhance the image of the photo, and there's that tool that looks like a magic, what's the magician wand? That is AI, and you've been using it on your Android and on your iPhone for the last 10 years. You are new to AI. The world is not new to AI. If you don't take advantage of AI right now, you are going to go out of business. You need to go straight to ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, this is what I do. This is my business. This is my skill set. This is the result that I provide to my target audience or my target customer. I understand how critical it is to make AI a component of what I do, maybe even leading with AI. How can I leverage AI to stay on trend in my business and to stay ahead in my marketplace? Ask ChatGPT that right now.
Yo, we did a short film, like a 60-second short film, like we're doing like these skits or whatever. I literally asked ChatGPT to write me a script, and it wrote a dope script. Now I had to like go in there and edit it or whatever, but we can scale our ability to write skits without having to come up with a concept, write it all down. Like, we have to be able to leverage, and I think we need to start using AI to add certain components to our business that make us even more scalable. You know what I mean? Like, we have to be in a market that's big enough and people gotta like it, but we have to have some sort of differentiator in our business that makes us investable. Yo, the biggest thing, environment. I was talking to Morgan. I can't wait to drop this episode. Isn't she lit, Kay? Yeah. Oh my gosh. She said, she said it's not like that anymore, but she said, in Silicon Valley back then, being in that environment makes you a big thinker. She was like, yo, this is a city where I'm talking about the janitor is going to pull out this app that they're working on. That's like that environment. It just became a hub of tech, not because of the geographic location, but because of the environment where you're around. You could be in a taxi cab or Uber and they're talking about this world-changing business idea. That doesn't happen in Atlanta.
We just saw it. We just saw the couple who were in a taxi cab that learned about Uber, invested $20,000 or $30,000, and now they're worth over $100 million.
But that doesn't happen everywhere.
It doesn't happen everywhere. Sometimes you have to force the environment. Sometimes I was just watching a podcast episode, in fact, with Jay Shetty and Lewis Holmes. House. And they were talking about money, and they were talking about, I believe it was Lewis who said something about being in the environment of billionaires. Like his really big break with his money mindset and his money earnings came around being around a bunch of billionaires. Like you have to at least make $100,000 if you're hanging around a bunch of billionaires. The problem is though, we stay committed to the environments that we're comfortable in, and it's literally draining us of our own potential. Right. You can't grow in environments where you just are comfortable, and you can't grow where you are the top dog in that environment. And you know this already. You hear this so much. It's just for whatever reason, you hadn't done anything about it yet. You have to be in the environment. When we used to open the studio up for people to come in here, the people who we knew in our communities that were experiencing the biggest success, the people who we see on the internet now doing their own thing, they were sitting in this room every chance they could just to be a part of the recording because they needed to be. How often do you get to be around mastermind conversations with millionaires or people who have generated more than 7 figures in their business in any period of time? Accountability, obviously so important, but being in the environment. And if you don't know how to get into the environment, if you don't qualify to be in the environment, figure out how to serve your way into that environment.
Man, you know what I'm excited about? Next month. So Donni and I, we're not going to talk about it, but Donni and I got invited to be in an environment which I'm really excited about. It's actually an Ivy League school, right? And we get a chance to kind of be there, for a couple of days. I'm not familiar with that. Like, and people that go to Ivy League schools, it's a different environment, different thought processes. Like, I think people that go to Ivy League schools come with an air of confidence or arrogance or privilege, because to actually go to that school, there's got to be some sort of privilege somewhere. And if you come from an environment of privilege and you go to this Ivy League school with other people that come from there, that's where the bigness of the ideas come from. It's not, I don't think it's the textbooks that make Harvard, or Dartmouth, or, you know what I mean? I don't think it's the textbooks. It's that environment that's created. We all come from something. Yeah. We all come from some money. We all come from some privilege. So when we get together, it's not a struggle story of how we're going to make our first 100,000. It's like, my daddy run a $600 million company. I'm coming here to understand how to run that thing. Oh, your dad, your mom, your aunt, your family, they already come from this. So,
but also, here's how I can help you.
Talk about it.
And how can you help me? These are the reasons. Like when we walk into rooms like this, it's not about what we can't do. It's about what we need, right? It's not that I can't figure out something. It's, hey guys, I'm in the room. I need to understand how to implement AI into my business. Who in here can help me? Okay, on a lunch break, let's sit side by side. And then we're partnering in these efforts. And I know somebody who's attended this same program before, and I know a few people who have, and it has elevated their mindset. Like, every small opportunity that we get in these big, massive environments, we have to maximize and optimize them. You'll learn something and you'll get something. You should leave every experience changed. And so it's interesting because David and I were on a call yesterday with our class, right? We'll have, I think, like a graduating class from this program. And there was a gentleman who asked a question. There's certain criteria in order to be involved in this program. And one of them is that you generate 7 figures, at least minimally, in your business, right? Okay, cool. So as they were, confirming what that criteria looks like and the type of people who would be in the room, a gentleman interjected with the question, and he said, hey, I'm really curious, what's the highest revenue generating company you guys have ever had in this particular type of environment? And he's like, I need to make sure I'm in the right place, right? And the organizer said, I don't know, somewhere around $360 million in annual revenue. And then she said, does that put you in the right place? He's like, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the middle there. So, and it's like, these are the people that we get to be in the room with. And shout out to him. I don't remember his name, but another African-American entrepreneur who from context clues is generating well over $150 million, a year based on the context that he gave. We get to be in the room and ask questions and see people who look like us, who started like us, who are so far ahead. Like now it gives us things to project. Yeah. It gives us new goals to add to the vision board. It gives us a picture of realistic expectations, because sometimes, Chance, that's all we're missing. 100%. We're missing the picture of realistic expectations and how it applies to our lives, because you're looking at what your parents did when they worked for Coca-Cola and IBM and Google back in the day, instead of increasing the vision by looking at current success stories and people who have done it on a grand scale and saying, okay, it can be done.
100%. So I think the takeaway is it's not just the business model that needs to be investable. It needs to be, the entrepreneur needs to be investable as well.
Yeah.
Like, because an entrepreneur that you can invest in is going to build something that you can invest in. Mm-hmm. But we are trying to get lucky because we think we have a good idea. And the idea is probably the first step. Okay, you got a good idea.
Now what?
But you got to be the person that can carry this thing out, right? And how do we become that person? We become smart enough to use AI. We become smart enough to use something that's smarter than us. And we get in an environment with other smart people, and we start getting the tricks of the trade. It's probably getting in these rooms, and I learned something new every time, and it's never what I thought it was. It's like I did something that turned it into a $30 million business, and it's something that me personally I could do, but I never thought about it in that way. You feel me? It's like I forgot who was I talking to? I think it was Daniel Priestley, and he said, as you're building a community. And I started talking about the community because I tell everybody about Morning Meetup. And he said, what's the hook? I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the way you super scale a community is there needs to be some sort of hook in the community, meaning there's something that's tying them there. And I'm like, easy, bruh. We meet every day. We got great information. We connected. He said, no. A scalable community looks like, okay, there's some sort of software that your community uses, and they're building their business on the software. Well, if they leave the community, they don't get access to the software, but they built their whole thing off of it. So if they built their whole business and all their data and stuff is on this software that comes with this community, how are they going to leave? And I said, oh. There's no hook, there's nothing tying. I think LA Fitness has a small hook, right? Where you got to pay $100 initiation or $200 initiation, and then it's monthly. But if you leave and you want to come back, you got to pay the other. So there's been a bunch of time. If I could just come back and not pay an initiation fee, I'll leave canceled.
All the time.
I would have been canceled.
Yeah.
But I think about it like, dang, one day I am going to want to work out, and I don't want to pay the $100 again.
Absolutely.
That's like, but you got to be in a room to even get that type of perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We hope you guys took something powerful and impactful from this episode. Comment though for us and let us know, what did you take away from this episode that stood out for you? Maybe it was your aha moment. Also though, what did you take away from this episode that you are going to go out and implement, execute right away? Like we have to be in consistent habit of being action takers and immediate action takers, right? So comment right here below what stood out for you the most and what you are going to implement right away. Is it AI? Is it learning how to tell your story? Is it immediately going out there and getting into the right environments, even if you have to serve your way in order to be there, right? I want to close out with this story because we see this and we've been seeing this for the last 5 years. In that same podcast episode, Jay Shetty talks about being at an event recently. And this is a recent podcast episode. He talks about being at an event recently, and he's there with a friend of his who's uber successful. I forget her name. And there's this videographer who approaches them and says, hey, do you mind if I just record you guys while you're talking? I'll give you the content, right? And they're like, no problem. So he asks the woman first and she's like, okay, no problem. So he records her for a few minutes and he steps away and he's doing something and he comes back to her with an instant recap of what he recorded of her at that time. And it's edited, it's nice, but it's instant. He gives her an instant recap. So she's looking at it and she tells Jay Shetty, hey, Jay, come take a look at this. This guy literally just recorded this content and he gave me instant postable a recap that I can use right now. You've got to do this. So Jay says, okay. So he records Jay for a few minutes while he's doing whatever he's doing, greeting people, talking to her, doing the things, does the same thing, steps away and comes back to Jay with this recap. They're looking at it and they're so blown away because they've never seen anybody provide an instant recap of an event that's happening in real time. This is recent, right? This is recent. And they say to him, how can we work with you immediately? So he picks up these two really high level clients by demonstrating what he does differently than every other videographer. Everybody else is capturing content. They're going to post it on their social media page. They may tag you in something that you'll never, ever even get the notification of a tag about. But this videographer says, I am going to demonstrate what I bring to the table and how quickly I bring it to the table, probably leveraging some type of AI support to help him do this very, very quickly. Gives it to them in real time, picks up two clients. And now, according to Jay, he tells everybody, you need this. And you know what I don't see?
Talk to me.
In the last 5 years, we have a bunch of videographers now that are doing our events. Some of them are even providing the instant recaps. I think it was Ryant who did that first.
First person.
I think Ryant Nelson was the first videographer that we worked with that did it first. He'd do an event, and before you could even say goodbye to your guest, he'd have like a 30-second recap for you to play at the event in real time, right? And then we've got other videographers now who's caught on to that play, and they're doing it too. But what if you're out with these speakers, you want to get a bunch of people in the room, you make it personal and impactful to them? What if you're now seeing people who are out in the audience connecting with their fans and doing the things, and you're just recording a cool 3 minutes to 5 minutes of their content, and you're providing them a postable, Instagrammable, TikTokable clip in real time directly to their phone via Bluetooth? How many customers do you think you would pick up because of the impression that you made using just a little bit of innovation on something somebody has already coined, but you do it differently?
Come on.
Anyway, take with that, do with that as you please. Yeah. We can't wait to see you on the next episode of Social Proof, but you can tap in. You don't have to wait until next week. You can work with David and I in our communities. Go to themorningmeetup.com or actionableceo.com or both of them and figure out how you can get mentorship with David and I. It's under $100 a month. Yeah. And if you sign up for the year, it's even less than that. We'll see you guys somewhere, there, here, back here. Subscribe to the channel. We're out.
Peace. You just watched this whole episode. If you like this episode, watch this one right here. Click right here. You're going to like this one if you like the one you just watched. Check it out.